You know, Helena, I really should have considered getting some of those skins of yours. I mean, I've heard you've got some pretty cute lines in them, and I wonder if it's enough to...
これは指揮官からの約束。そうなの。嬉しい。
Alright, so Helena's Retrofit is now in play, and I can definitely say that the Retrofit skin is absolutely adorable. And I really don't regret oathing her for it. I mean, that face though. Anyway, let's take a second to see how much this changes one of the best boss debuffers we have at our disposal. Looking at the stat changes, sadly we see that a good number of her stats get a really small amount of change. While I can always appreciate a firepower and health boost, they are not really anything that is a major game changer for her. There is one stat, however, that did see some pretty heavy change, and that is anti-air. Did you, like, spend too much time hanging around a specific Eagle light cruiser lately? Sandy, are you trying to give yourself competition over here? For those that aren't too familiar with the stat, anti-air isn't exactly an amazing stat to really go all out on. It really dictates two things: damage dealt to enemy planes, and the overall damage reduction from air-based attacks. Outside of those areas, it really doesn't help out, aside from this satisfying the anti-air requirement, if there is one for hard mode. Nonetheless, Helena sees almost a 30% increase to the stat. Now, this increase will definitely help her in plane-heavy environments, in terms of both for survival and defense. However, when it comes to attacks from ships, she won't see too much of a difference in survival with the small changes to the rest of her stat line. Now, her equipment efficiencies, Helena does get a small 5% boost to her main gun, but no boost to her secondary gun efficiency. This, combined with the small bump to her firepower, will allow players to see a small bump in the overall damage she can do, which, again, that's never a bad thing. Helena does get a pretty heavy jump in her anti-air gun efficiency by 15%. Helena's anti-air gun efficiency was lower than most light cruisers, so this boost does help to narrow the gap between her and some of her counterparts. However, the efficiency is still a tad bit lower than most that I've worked with so far. It's possible that she could contend with several ships in terms of plane damage, since her anti-air stat is higher than many. So overall, the focus in anti-air can definitely help her for plane-based environments. However, she doesn't really see much of a change outside of that. It's kind of a bit disappointing. But that's not all that she gets out of this retrofit. So let's see if the skill she gets helps her with more on this regard. Helena's first skill, Radar Scan, gets upgraded into Radar Scan Plus. This upgrade maintains the original behavior of the skill, which is up to a 60% chance to debuff all on-screen enemies and increase the amount of damage they take by 40% for 10 seconds. However, the upgrade also allows a bonus if she has the famous SG Radar auxiliary equipped with her. If it is equipped, she gets up to a 10% boost to her evasion, and the skill will now potentially activate 16 seconds after the beginning of combat and every 20 seconds afterwards. In case that is a little bit confusing, I'll give you guys the timestamps here so you can kind of see how this is actually working out. From my own personal experiences, the SG upgrade really isn't that worth getting. I've found that the quicker first proc seems to work against my backline more so than actually helping it. Most of my battleship backliners are ready to fire their first shots around the 19 to 23 second mark. With the debuff starting around the 16 second mark, they may not even be ready to take advantage of the debuff, and they may not also get their full salvo off before the debuff ends. I know a certain war corgi that would be quite upset if she wasn't able to really mess enemies up. However, she'll probably do better than carriers, as they may miss the first debuff entirely. This was apparent when I was doing the training with SX event, and I feel that one may see similar experiences in challenge mode and EX mode. Now, granted, faster attacking backlines like my speedrunner setup, or actually Amakaga, would be able to take advantage of this, as they'll all be ready if she did proc at the 16-second mark. My experiences with most boss fleets usually doesn't see the boss until around the 20-second mark or later, so I'd have to wait 20 seconds to have a chance for that again. Lastly, the evasion boost is nice, however, the high standard hydraulic steering wheel will easily beat the evasion boost, and also grants a perk that will allow her to survive a little bit better. So, not off to the best start here, but she does gain one last skill. Her retrofit skill is the Wonder of Kula Golf, which does two things. The first is that she takes up to 15% less torpedo damage. Since she's light armor, she does take slightly less damage from torpedoes, and thankfully this actually further reduces it. The damage reduction paired with her eye anti-air stat actually does allow her to be pretty tanky from either of those two sources. However, she will still be vulnerable from gun-based attacks, so keep that in mind. The second part of this skill has a few requirements. If your Vanguard has 3 ships in it, and there is an Eagle ship in the backmost slot, and that ship is not Helena, that ship in that slot gets up to a 12% evasion boost. This is extremely handy, especially for heavy cruisers who already do struggle with low evasion. Now, this could be a light cruiser or a destroyer as well, so it really depends on who you're bringing with her into the fight. Just remember that Helena can't be in the back spot, and that back spot must have an Eagle Union ship in it. I actually do like this skill a bit. A lot of my higher level Vanguard members are from the Eagle Union, so I can definitely say that I do appreciate this buff to my backmost character. The torpedo damage reduction is also an added bonus that will make her a lot better at surviving torpedo attacks, especially in later game. Nonetheless, the retrofit honestly isn't as strong as many of us would have hoped for. My biggest concern with her has always been keeping her alive, as she's rather frail. Now, the damage reduction of plane attacks alongside the torpedo damage reduction will help to alleviate the concerns, but the risk from gunfire is still there, even with the small boost to her health pool. Helena's always been a support ship, to say the least. Her debuff is highly praised for how effective it can be, and she continues to fulfill that role as a support with her second skill buffing, another ship's dodge. It's unfortunate that her first skill's upgrade really isn't that worth using, as it does inconvenience backline setups a bit with timing. Some backlines can work with it and may even benefit from it, but for most it definitely will have issues. Now, of course, there is one last thing that she does seem to do well at, which is competing with Leander Retrofit on who has the more adorable facial expression. I mean, seriously, which one is better? Nonetheless, that will be all for Helena's Retrofit addendum. Hope you enjoyed and that this will help you in your future endeavors. As I mentioned, next up will be our random pick Admiral Hipper, and then followed by our monitor duo. Also, if there is a ship girl that I have not covered that is also not on the list, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Whether you're a regular viewer or a patron supporting the channel on Patreon, thanks for watching and I will see you guys all again real soon.